The first time I saw the post, I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because it didn't make sense. Relationship status. Settling until something better comes along. That was what Sloan Harrington had written. My girlfriend of 3 years. The woman I had just spent the weekend apartment hunting with in downtown Greenwich, Connecticut. The woman who had looked me in the eyes 2 nights ago and said, "We're building something real." So I assumed it was sarcasm. An inside joke. Something I wasn't part of, but also didn't need to worry about. Until I noticed the way her friends reacted. They didn't laugh. They didn't comment with emojis or inside jokes. They just liked it. Quietly. Repeatedly. Almost like they already knew something I didn't. And that was the first moment something inside me shifted. Not panic. Not anger. Just awareness. Like a subtle fracture in something I thought was solid. I didn't confront her that night. Instead, I watched. Because sometimes the truth doesn't hide. It just waits for you to stop looking away. Sloan came home around 9:30 p.m. She walked in like nothing had changed. She kissed my cheek. She asked about my day. She opened a bottle of wine, like we were still exactly who we had always been. And I let her, because I needed to understand something first. "Hey," I said casually. "I saw your post." She didn't freeze. She didn't hesitate. She smiled. "Oh, that," she said lightly. "It's just a joke." Her tone was effortless. Too effortless. The kind of effortless that comes from repetition. From having already rehearsed the explanation. "A joke?" I asked. "Yeah," she shrugged. "You know how people post stupid things." And then she changed the subject. Just like that. "Before we go further, pause for a second and think about this. If you saw something like that from someone you trusted completely, would you accept the explanation, or would something in you stay unsettled?" Because I accepted it, at least on the surface. But something in me didn't settle. It sharpened. Over the next few days, I started noticing details I had ignored before. Sloane's phone was always face down now. She started taking calls in the other room. She laughed at messages she didn't show me. Not dramatically. Not enough to raise immediate suspicion, but enough to create a pattern. And patterns don't lie. Thursday night, we attended a dinner at Carter Whitfield's house. Carter was one of Sloane's closest friends. Investment banker. Old money. The kind of social circle where reputation mattered more than truth. I walked in expecting normalcy. But the room felt different. Subtle, but undeniable. People were polite. But there was a distance. A layer of observation I hadn't felt before. Like I was being assessed. Measured. Compared. I caught Margot Thornton watching me twice. Not with curiosity. With something closer to pity. And that was when the discomfort turned into something else. Something heavier. I found Sloane near the bar. She was laughing with Reed Calloway, a man I had met once before. Confident. Well-connected. The kind of man who didn't need to prove anything because his presence already did. She touched his arm while laughing. Lightly. Naturally. But not casually. Not the way she used to touch me in public. When she noticed me, she smiled. "Hey," she said, walking over. "You okay?" I nodded. "Yeah." But I wasn't asking the right questions yet. Because the right question wasn't about Reed. It wasn't about the post. It was about something deeper. It was about whether I had been living inside a version of reality that only I believed in. The turning point didn't come at the party. It came the next morning. I was making coffee when her laptop lit up on the kitchen counter. A message notification. I wasn't looking for anything, but I saw enough. Just enough. "He's comfortable, not exciting." That was the line. No name. No full conversation. Just that fragment. And it didn't need context, because it aligned perfectly with everything else. I closed the laptop. I didn't wake her up. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because now I wasn't reacting. I was understanding. That afternoon, I went for a drive. No destination. Just distance. And for the first time, I asked myself something honestly. Was I being loved, or was I being maintained? There's a difference. A quiet, dangerous difference. Love invests. Maintenance preserves. And I started seeing every moment differently. Every compliment. Every plan. Every conversation about our future. They weren't lies. But they weren't entirely true either. They were convenient. That night, I finally asked her. Not aggressively. Not emotionally. Just directly. "Are you with me because you want to be," I said, "or because it worked for you right now?" She looked at me for a long moment. And that was the moment everything became clear. Because she didn't answer immediately. And when someone hesitates on a question like that, the truth is already present. I care about you, she said. Care. Not love. Not certainty. Care. She continued. I don't know if this is everything. There it was. Not cruel. Not dramatic. Just honest. And honesty, when it comes late, doesn't heal. It clarifies. Before we go further, think about this. If you were in that position, would you fight to stay, or would you walk away the moment you realized you were someone's temporary choice? I didn't argue. I didn't try to convince her. Because you can't negotiate genuine desire. You can't compete with the idea of something better. So I did something simple. Pek to bake. Not everything. Just enough. She watched me. Silent. Conflicted. But not stopping me. And that told me everything I needed to know. I hope you find what you're looking for, I said. And I meant it. Not out of kindness. But out of clarity. Because I finally understood my role. I wasn't her future. I was her placeholder. And placeholders don't become priorities. They get replaced. I left that night. No drama. No scene. Just distance. Weeks passed. Then months. I didn't check her social media. I didn't ask mutual friends. Because once you understand the truth, you don't need updates. One afternoon, I ran into Carter Whitfield at a cafe. We exchanged brief pleasantries. And then, almost casually, he said something. Sloane's been going through it. I didn't ask for details. I didn't need them. Because the outcome wasn't the point anymore. The point was what I had learned. And what I had refused to ignore. Because sometimes the most important moment in a relationship isn't when it begins. It's when you realize exactly where you stand. And decide whether you're willing to stay there.